welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah and I'm a flower farmer in East Yorkshire in the UK, and today I wanted to make a video about drying flowers, drying cut flowers, because I have had a couple of people asking me in the past about making a video about what I'm picking for drying, how I'm drying it, etc. So I thought I would just make a little quick video about what I'm cutting on the flower farm and how I'm drying it. This isn't by any means a comprehensive guide to drying flowers. I have just been experimenting over the last couple of years, and I'm just going to tell you what I've learned through my successes and failures in the last couple of seasons. And basically the reason why I started drying flowers in the first place was because I now have this shipping container workshop, which is a really handy space to dry flowers in the summer. It gets really warm here in the summer in this container, and which is perfect for drying flowers. It's nice and dry and warm. However, in winter it does get kind of damp, and last year my dried flowers did get a little bit mouldy in here. So what I'm going to do is make sure everything's dry over the summer, pack it up in boxes, and make sure they're airtight and it's not going to go mouldy over the winter. Yeah, so this space has been really handy for drying flowers. I've got some eucalyptus branches hanging up on the ceiling that I can hang quite a lot of dried flowers from, and I also have a little bit of space back there and also a drying rack above my head there that is good for drying flowers on. And in the past I've actually had you can probably see the hooks in the ceiling and that missing bit of board that's never been put up there. There was a branch that was hanging up there that I could dry things on there as well. Things that I didn't mind being sun bleached, so those kind of things went in front of the window. The things that I didn't really want to be bleached as much by the sun have gone at the back of the container there. I have learned a lot of things about cutting and drying flowers the last couple of years, but basically the main thing that I've learned is it's worth just experimenting with anything, because you never know. I'll show you this cool artichoke. So I would have never thought that artichokes would dry nicely because of how fleshy they are, but this looks so cool. It kind of was hanging upside down up here on the eucalyptus branches, and it's just dried out over time. It's flowered and dried out and it looks really cool now. So it's worth just trying bits of everything just to see what works and what doesn't, what you like and what you don't like. One of the main resources that I've used over the last season is this book, Everlastings by Bex Partridge, and it's quite a comprehensive guide to growing and picking flowers. So there is actually a section here that lists all the different varieties and how to dry them and at what stage to cut and dry them as well. So unfortunately I'm not able to share that information with you guys because I'm not that experienced in cutting for dried flowers, but this book is definitely very handy. I would recommend it, and also trial and error, like I always say, is definitely the best way to go. So I'm going to take you out into the field, pick a few dried flowers, things that have gone over, things that are ready for picking now that I don't need to use fresh, and we're going to bring them into the container and hang them up, and we can discuss the things that I've learnt along the way about dried flowers. So here I am cutting eyelash pearl grass, aka Malika ciliata, which is a really nice grass, a perennial grass that has come back from last year's sowing, and I'm cutting this into standardised bunches of 10, and I actually cut all of my flowers into bunches of 10. I don't have to recount anything further down the line, and I just want to make especially sure at this point that I'm tying a knot nice and tight around the stems, because as they dry and the water evaporates out of the stems, they do shrink a little bit and sometimes they fall out of where I've tied them. So sometimes I'll use twine and sometimes I'll use elastic bands, but in this case I am using twine, and I'm just making sure that I'm pulling it really tight so that it doesn't fall out. So I've picked and bunched up bunches of 10 stems. I think I've probably got almost 30 bunches here. So yesterday I managed to cut about 40 bunches of Nigella and the eyelash pearl grass. There's probably still another 20 to 40 bunches of Nigella to pick. Each of the bunches has 10 stems in each, and there's probably a lot. I don't even want to know how much, probably at least 100 to 200 stems, sorry, not stems, but bundles of 10 stems of the eyelash pearl grass left to pick out in the field. But as you could see yesterday, I kind of get bored of cutting all of one variety after a while, so I have to mix it up a bit. And the other thing is that I'm already running out of space in here, so I filled up half of this branch here. I filled up most of this branch here with the Nigella, and then all of the branch behind it with Nigella, and then there's a branch at the back that's empty as well. It's not ideal because they are quite close to each other, and obviously that doesn't aid the drying process very well, but it's the best I can do. I need the majority of this space in here for working in, so I have actually got a drying rack up there that I could use. But then the things that I'm not too concerned about bleaching could be hung up in the polytunnel to dry, but I like to have things in here that I want the colour to keep, so in theory I could probably move this eyelash pearl grass. And what have I got here? So under here I've got a bunch of larkspur, and that's actually what I'm going to go and pick today. So I've got quite a lot of larkspur that I haven't had chance to pick yet out in the field, and it's kind of gone too far for me to pick for fresh flowers, so I'm going to go and pick some of that today. As you can see, I'm a bit dolled up today, and that is because I had a photographer from the Telegraph newspaper this morning who came to take my photograph for an article on flower farmers. So if you're in the UK, keep your eye on the gardening supplement in that newspaper, and you might see my face popping up in there. So I'm going to get my snips and my rubber bands and head across to the field around the back where the larkspur is. I just want to take a quick break to thank today's video sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of online classes and members from all over the world. There's literally something for everyone on Skillshare, whether you are looking to learn something new, practice existing skills, or just take some time out and get creative. There's classes in everything from photography to well-being and creative writing to business marketing. Recently, I took a class with Dale McManus on iPhone photography. It's so important for us flower farmers and flower growers to be able to take great shots of what we've got growing in our fields and gardens. Dale shared some great tips on how to get the most out of an iPhone camera, as well as how to tell stories with photos and edit them too. Skillshare is ad-free, has multilingual subtitles, and new classes are released every week. The first 1,000 of my viewers to join Skillshare using the link down in my description will receive a 1-month free trial. I think actually that a lot of this stuff at the front is kind of too far gone for picking for dried flowers, because I think that with dried flowers, obviously you want the flowers to be open, but you don't want it to be starting to produce seed pods and things and the petals are going to fall off. So it's kind of a little bit of a later stage than how you would pick it for cut flowers, fresh cut flowers, but also you need to sort of catch it before it starts to produce seed, because then the petals aren't looking too good and the leaves and things. And as you can see, these larkspur behind me, the leaves are kind of yellowing and they're not looking great, so I think I might actually just cut those to the ground. Could be that I could use, like, so for example, this isn't very desirable looking stem because it has this bit here that's kind of wilted off. It's got lots of side shoots on it that are small. That is something that I could possibly dry and use myself in smaller arrangements, or wreaths and things, so these side shoots could be used in wreaths. So I'm going to just pick pick things that I would use long stems for to either sell wholesale or make bouquets and things out of, and then also these secondary quality kind of can you hear that? The alpacas are screaming and fighting with each other. They did this the other day and I was really concerned, and I ran over there, and it was the two youngest boys were fighting with each other and they had their necks wrapped around each other. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to save these. I wouldn't sell these as like a stem to somebody who was going to use them for bouquets, but I might be able to use them for wreaths and small kind of arrangements. So I've picked quite a bit of larkspur. It's behind me on this bench, and I am going to take this larkspur back up to the workshop, see how much I can get hung up. From this field I also have just a little bit more larkspur to pick, probably pick a bit more of the white one, and the rest is usable stems. And then I have some Greek cress. Unfortunately I didn't get to use the Greek cress fresh, which is one of the ways that I like to use it. I still have tons of dried cress from last year that is dried, but all of that over there needs picking and hanging up to dry as well. I don't mind that being bleached, so that could be hung up in a bright area like in the polytunnel. Some other things that I like to dry but aren't going to dry at the moment because they're only just kind of coming to flower is statice. Obviously it comes in some nice colours. I've got lots of white this year. I didn't have any white last year. The apricot, salmony, peachy colours and then I've got some pinks over that way that can be dried. The surplus of that can be dried if I don't use it all fresh. And then the Dorcas, I like that when it goes into it forms a seed head and goes into kind of like a cup shape. I can't actually see any that are like that at the moment, but the edges fold in on themselves and it produces a really cool seed head, so I'm going to definitely be saving those. I've got quite a lot of Ami here that isn't getting used at the moment, but I will dry some of that and pick and dry some of the seed heads of that. I think I sometimes like to save the seed heads of the scabious, some like that, and then obviously there's this pincushion flower. So that's that for here. In the tunnel there's some celosia that if I actually produce enough of it, I will cut some if it produces enough flowers and I don't use it all fresh. The dill, I can dry some of that. And unfortunately this bed here was a full bed of giant poppies, and when I went away on holiday it just didn't get watered and it kind of wilted away, so the giant poppies didn't make it. But I've replanted some zinnias and nigella in there just to see what they do. They were kind of bit pathetic looking plants because I was going to bin them, but I had an empty space and I like to try to keep living roots in the ground all year round nowadays on the flower farm, so I just thought that counts as a living root even though it kind of looks pathetic. So the other thing is I've got a patch of bunny tails down here behind me, and also I've got another patch a little bit further up. And then I've got some Ceteria macrostachya, which is a really nice lime green grass. Lots of you on my Instagram and YouTube asked me about that last year, so that's going to be a really good one. Hopefully it'll dry nicely. Keep that nice green colour. Here it is. The lime green just goes so nicely with the nice bright dahlias, the bright snapdragons and things like that. And then obviously we have the Amaranthus behind me. I tend not to like the look of that much when it's dried because I don't think I've ever dried it right, to be honest, because it doesn't ever keep its colour for me. But if I can get it to keep its colour, then definitely going to dry some of that nice red colour. And then I've got the hot biscuits as well. What else would I dry here? Oh, probably the Statis sawarii, the rat tail status. it produced quite a lot of short stems to begin with at the beginning of the flowering season, and I have been meaning to come in here and cut them off so that it can start kicking out some longer stems. I also need to give everything a really big feed in here, but there's some nice tall stems at the back there now that would be long enough for a bouquet, so I could dry some of those, and I'm sure they would look nice. I actually was just browsing a dried flower wholesaler's website this morning just to try and do a bit of market research, and there was some Limonium suawarii on that as well, so how nice is the Amaranthus? Very nice. Yeah, so that's probably the kind of things that I would be drying here. I haven't ever tried things like zinnias and dahlias and things. If anybody has, let me know in the comments, what does it dry like? I know some people do dry them and use them in arrangements. I'm not sure whether I'm that keen on the way that they look, but I'm open to people proving me wrong on that. So I'm on day 3 now of picking various things for dried flowers, and I'm just at the low tunnel, and I am picking Limonium suawarii. They will be handy for things like wreaths and things. So that's the good thing about dried flowers, is you can still use the shorter stems. So I've kind of just finished picking this patch here. It's really desperate for some water here because obviously the rain doesn't hit it with the tunnel being there, and then you can probably see that pink looking cloud over there. That's some more of the rat tail statice, so I'm going to go and pick some of that, or the stems of that are a little bit longer, and hang that up to dry. I think hopefully if it keeps its colour, it's going to look really, really nice. So it's actually been a couple of weeks since the last bit of filming I did on the dried flowers, and things have been drying up in here for the last couple of weeks, and they're kind of looking good. The larkspur, this seems to be keeping its colour, which is okay, which is good. The nigella is drying nicely, and it's stayed nice and green. I found when I first started drying flowers that it is quite difficult to tell when it is actually ready to be stored away, because obviously we don't really want any residual moisture in there that's going to allow it to go mouldy. So I think these probably need a slight bit of longer time. The grasses look like they're almost ready, so I will take those off and be able to put fresh stuff up there. I've got the rat tail statice drying behind me there, and also up here. I'm really excited about that one because I can't remember if I mentioned it already, but I didn't dry much colourful stuff last year. It was all kind of browny looking grasses and seed heads. So what I really would like to do is be able to grow and dry more stuff that's a lot more colourful, because I feel like that really stands out. So I harvested all of the nigella. We actually had some really hot weather last week, and some rain last night, which caused all of the rest of the eyelash pearlgrass to drop its seed all over the floor. So I'm not going to be able to pick any more of the eyelash pearlgrass, but I might be able to cut it back down to the ground and see if it will produce any more seed heads. Then I'm going to be cutting, in the next few weeks, I'm going to be cutting Amaranthus to dry, and some other bits of grasses and stuff. So when I am filming my farm tours and just things that I've been getting up to on the farm over the next few weeks, I will take you along with me when I do that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you a little bit of insight into what I'm doing with dried flowers this year. at the moment I've got everything stored away from last year still, and I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with it, but at least I know I've got a stockpile there. There is a shop actually in the town that sells dried flowers, and I have approached them to say that I have dried flowers available, and I've sent them an availability list of what I have, so hopefully they'll be interested in buying dried flowers from me wholesale, with the added kind of interesting factor that it is grown on a local flower farm. Failing that, I will put some bunches together. I did experiment with some the other day as like a home decor kind of thing, available to buy on the website. I have been looking into being able to ship dried flowers, maybe selling them on Etsy or via my website, but I have found that it is being quite difficult to find boxes to ship them in, because obviously everybody's going to want to buy different amounts of flowers in different sizes. So I kind of put that on the shelf for a while because I'm not really sure how I'm going to approach that. My helper Tina, she is kind of an expert in the box industry. I don't know if she'll appreciate me saying that, but she sort of helped me figure out things, box sizes and things the other day, and she said, why don't you just try and sell to local people first before you start shipping to other people, because it's kind of going to be quite complicated for me to get in a lot of stock of cardboard boxes that I don't necessarily know whether I'm going to sell or not. So what I'm going to try and do is market them towards local customers to begin with, and then if that doesn't work, then I'll maybe try to offer shipping and get some samples of cardboard boxes and see how that goes. So yeah, I'd love to know what you're drying, what you are interested in as a dried flower, and whether you actually like dried flowers, because I know it can be a bit hit and miss. Some people like them, some people don't. I know that they have quite a name for themselves as being like a dust collecting thing that's kind of sitting in a jug on your windowsill, but I think nowadays they're becoming a lot more fashionable and kind of being done in a better way. So I'd love to know what you think, and I hope you enjoyed this video. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.